Friday and Beth had traveled 25 minutes outside of DeKalb, Indiana to the address the realtor had given her. Parked the black Expedition in front of the 1950s farmhouse and stepped out into the cooling autumn air. A 5'9", decently built man with short, well-kept walnut hair and beard was fiddling with the buttons on the wrist of his white button-up shirt and smoothing his yellow and green wave-patterned sweater vest. It seemed he was very nervous and seriously didn't want to be there. He didn't notice them until they walked closer to him. He jumped as he looked up with a nervous smile. "Miss Baker, so nice to meet you. And you brought a friend? Hello, Mr. Searson. I am Beth Rooker," she replied. Both ladies noticed he didn't offer to shake hands. "Nice to meet you, ma'am." He swept his arm towards the porch. "Isn't all the stained wood beautiful? I like it so much more than the whitewashed houses around the area." "I agree," Friday replied, smiling as she looked at the light-colored wood. In the railing of the porch, it looked as if small trees were the bark stained and built into the wraparound porch of this huge farmhouse. With its beauty and recent remodeling, it seemed like it would be way out of their budget. She could feel why it was so cheap as they walked closer to the house. She was not looking forward to finding out how many and what kind of energy it was, though. The trio walked up to the front door and knocked. A woman opened the door. She was nearly 6 foot tall in a gray long sleeved t-shirt and a dark blue pair of jeans. "Hi, you must be here for the tour of the house," she greeted them. "Hello," Beth and Friday said in harmony. Hi, Miss Bainbridge," Mr. Searson stuttered. "This is Miss Baker and her friend Miss Rooker. I would love it if we could give them the tour." Mr. Miss Bainbridge stepped back and lifted her arm aside with an open hand. "Please come in." After a few seconds of silence, Miss Bainbridge smiled unsurely and asked, "Shall we begin?" They both walked further into the house, following the realtor. He started explaining about the different ideas that could be used in each room. Each empty room, except for the furnished furniture in a couple of the rooms that will come with the house free as long as she bought it. "The shelves can be filled with books and knickknacks," he said as he waved at the shelves built in the far wall of the living room. Beth's eyes lit up. "Can you imagine the library we can have in here?" Friday nodded, smiling. The realtor smiled and continued. "There is a comfy looking chair with a blond man scowling at them. This large couch would be perfect for snuggling and reading time," he continued, referring to her little girls. She conceded he was not able to see the spirit and continued following him on the tour. Beth looked at Friday questioning before they left the room. She nodded towards the sofa. Beth eyed it, understanding someone unseen was there. They continued walking. He briefly showed the small bathroom with just a sink and a toilet that could be decorated with the kids' characters. The next room was a master bedroom with a large king-size oak bed that looked rustic and well-loved. "It will be perfect for midnight love and Sunday morning family breakfast. I kindly ask you to leave our love out of this," she exclaimed as she glanced at the small black-haired boy in the light-colored button-up shirt and suspenders peeking out from under the bed. He seemed unfazed by the strangers walking through the house. He got up and walked through the closet wall as they entered the room. She took a peek in the walk-in closet. Beth glanced around, wishing she could see what she could in Friday's eyes. The surprise look for a couple seconds told her there were more in the room with them. I apologize for being forward. Shall we continue? He replied, seemingly to realize he had gone too far. She nodded, and they walked to the kitchen. An older lady in a blue floral dress and tan apron glanced at them in the kitchen. He didn't notice or ignored her putting the cutting board on the table. Miss Bainbridge did and looked frightened. Beth's sharp intake of breath told Friday that she noticed too. With such a large kitchen, you can have lots of family time. The fireplace, he motioned to the far left where the fireplace was in the brick wall with the wooden table and chairs safely set away from it. Will keep you and your family warm in the winter. There is more than enough room at the table for everyone. There are many cabinets. He waved his hand in a showing motion as they walked into the pantry, which was huge. You can store anything you need in here. This is the best pantry yet, she exclaimed. She could see both Bainbridge and Beth were still shaken as they started out of the kitchen before she and the realtor took a step. They left the kitchen and he started showing them the other side of the hallway with he was cheerful in each description. Here we have sturdy bunk beds for all the kids, including an extra for sleepovers. The desks are set up so they can all share. The hardwood bunk beds were built in the wall, with the desks opposite them. Little man will love it here too. He wouldn't ever want to leave. Beth ex- exclaimed about the huge room. Friday agreed wholeheartedly with her. The second level was a recent addition, he exclaimed as they went up the stairs. Understanding could not see what else was there as her eyes followed the children of various ages. This beautifully furnished 1950s house with 2 levels, including all the room for her and her husband, 3 kids, and mother in law, included they could ever need. He could not see that the original family was still there. The 4 kids, 2 girls and 2 boys, were playing except for the youngest. He seemed to see them and wonder why were they there. They ran up and down the stairs as well as in and out of the rooms as he showed them. Miss Bainbridge did not come up with them, knowing they were there, and it scared her. They walked towards the door at the bottom floor as Miss Bainbridge was seeing them out, and the father threw a book at the realtor from the living room, landed flat against his walnut colored bearded face with a hard smack. With that, he bolted. Friday stood there, staring at the tall, thin, clean-shaven man in overalls and plaid shirt. His hand brushed back his graying blonde hair. I am apologizing for coming unannounced. Your house is up for sale, I say after 20 or so seconds after the realtor bolted out the door. Beth stood beside Friday. Miss Bainbridge ran the other way. Beth knew something was happening when Friday took a deep breath and started talking at the room. How? We are still here. We are able to stay a family with all that happened. Get out! He yelled. His energy was so strong she couldn't breathe. So she grabbed Beth's hand, pulling her out of the house, locking the door behind them.